Today's interview is with Russell Klise. Russ is a realtor here in the Las Vegas market, and he talks to us about what's going on right now, the craziness out there for buyers and sellers. So really insightful and really interesting interview, and there's just so much craziness out there right now. It's just really interesting to get an idea of what's going on. So stick around for all of that great stuff. Hello and welcome to Wrestling with Real Estate, where we look to chokeslam all your real estate problems. I'm your host, former WWE wrestler and now Cirque du Soleil performer, and of course, multifamily real estate investor, Barri Griffiths. Today we're joined by Russ Klise. Hey Russ, how you doing, man?
Hey, what's up, Barry? How are you?
Yeah, I'm awesome, man. I'm excited to dive into today's unique topic. We're going to be covering a little bit of the Las Vegas market because Russ is a realtor here in Las Vegas, and he's also a good guy, a friend, and someone that I'm happy to have on the show. So, hey, welcome, man. Happy to have you here.
Hey, it's an honor to be on your show, man. Thank you.
Oh, well, cool. Well, thank you, man. Well, hey, before we dive into all the fun market stuff and what's going on out there, do you want to kind of give us an introduction into who Russ Klise is and what you kind of been up to in terms of your career and in terms of real estate?
Yeah, man. So Russell Klise, I'm a realtor here in Las Vegas, and it's actually my third year in real estate. So, but prior to that, I was a licensed banker with JP Morgan. So mainly dealing with investment and affluent clients, which kind of worked out because it kind of helped me transition into real estate and, just kind of created a little bit more of a better lifestyle that I kind of wish for and kind of spend more time with family. So here I am now, and I'm happy to say things have been great despite the pandemic. I can't complain, man.
Yeah, awesome. What skills do you think that are translatable from what you did before in the banking world to sort of real estate?
Yeah, the biggest thing I learned from banking into real estate is building those relationships, man. I think nothing's more important than building these relationships. Like, me and you, I don't know if I would have ever met you had we met like mutual friends, your wife, and, which creates these conversations. And, I think that's what we're put on this earth for, is to build relationships, man, provide value.
That's, man, so true. So much happens through relationships. Like, you can't
believe
it. You cannot believe it. Yeah. It's awesome. So was it a lifestyle kind of change that you wanted? Obviously, real estate is demanding. Being an agent, nobody's out here saying that being an agent is easy and you just kind of do what you want, right? But at the same time, you can sort of move stuff around, right? So if you have something in the morning, you can work all afternoon and all evening, right? Because you still have got to get 8, 10, 12 hours a day in, right? It's a real job. It's not as easy as people think. But man, you had that, was it that freedom more that you wanted to kind of choose your schedule from, as opposed to, you're working in the banking world, it's probably a 9 to 5 or 9 to 6 or whatever it is.
Yeah, 100%, man. I was in the corporate world and just, that 9 to 5 business for, way over half my life right now. I mean, JP Morgan was like going on 9 years, and it wasn't cutting it for me anymore. I knew there was something better that I can do and provide a little bit more purpose in there. And real estate was. I'm not saying real estate is easy, and because I know a lot of people have that misconception, like, hey, I'm gonna do real estate, I can sell houses. It's not that simple, man. Like, it's still a grind. You got to be disciplined, and you got to get out there, man. You got to be able to talk to people. And but yeah, man, I mean, it's created that, like I said, that lifestyle that I kind of wanted, and a little bit more flexibility to be with my family, man, which is important.
Yeah, for sure. And Russ has 4 kids, so I have one. And I'm struggling with one. He's out here with 4, just balancing everything. It's like, they're amazing.
My hands are full. You think real estate's hard? Have a family of 4.
Yeah, for sure. And just on that subject, because I hear more and more right now, so many people are like, I'm getting my license. I want to be a realtor. And I think they have this misconception that they'll just get their license and they'll do a deal a month and they just, stroll through it or whatever, right? In terms of what you're doing and like the work you have to put in, give someone an insight into what it's like to be a busy agent.
Yeah, bro. I mean, like I said, it takes a lot of discipline and a lot of adapting and pivoting. I mean, look this past year, we are dealing with the pandemic. And that was like really my second year in. The cool thing is that I was seeing new agents get into real estate during the pandemic. And for me, it's like, hey, respect to that, because who thought, going into entrepreneurship, during the pandemic was a wise idea. But, like I said, I can't complain. Everything's kind of been great. Surprisingly, it's been, I've been more busy since then. But kind of going back to these guys, it takes discipline, just hard work. Like there's no secret sauce, honestly. It just takes a lot of hard work and discipline.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's a lot harder than people think. You've got to be willing to grind. It's you're talking 8, 10, 12 hours a day. It's showing houses on the weekend. It's showing houses at 7, 8 o'clock at night, if that's what it takes. It's writing contracts.
It's sadly, it's kind of hip to hip. You know what I mean? It's like, but I learn to turn it off every now and then. So
yeah. So just know that for anyone who's thinking about an agent, yes, it's I love real estate. I absolutely love it, and I think being an agent can be a great thing because there's no ceiling to it, right? It's I love that about it, and you can create your own lifestyle and create your own schedule. But like just like you said, it's that discipline, right? You're your own boss, even though you work for a brokerage or you hang your license in a brokerage. You're your own boss, and if you don't want to work, you're not going to be successful, and you've got to remember that. So for anyone looking to that, I think those are
the other thing too, just to add on to that, obviously creating a different lifestyle for myself is the one thing I love about real estate is there's so many avenues. That's the main thing I learned as far as like not just being a homeowner but being an investor. Short-term rentals. I mean, you already know you're in multifamily and all that stuff. So that's what excites me the most, because like I said, in banking, that's what I dealt with was investments, and that mindset of just investing. So I like that.
Very cool. Well, let's dive into the fun and crazy stuff now, like the Vegas market, right? I'm sure whatever market people are listening to in this right now, I'm sure they're familiar that it's pretty crazy, but I think Vegas is up there with the best of them when it comes to what's going on right now. So do you want to give us kind of an insight what's going on?
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm sure if a lot of you guys out there are following the real estate market, everyone's coming to you and telling you the market's on fire. It's hot. It is on fire. It's on fire for these sellers. I mean, sellers are just getting whatever they want, the cream of the crop. And it's crazy, man. And who would ever thought like this is where we would be, again, despite the pandemic, right? And just 6 months ago, everyone was talking what's going to happen? The crash, right? Like, all right, here it is. Here's where I'm going to get my $200,000 mansion. So it's just completely nuts right now, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, like you said, it's so counterintuitive, right? Unemployment hit. I think at one point it was, depending on various, it was 30+% here in Vegas, right? 30 plus. Think about that for a second. 30+% unemployment, and it just doesn't. It's so counterintuitive. But in the meantime, like house prices have just soared, and it's just so competitive out there. I'm not boots on the ground like yourself. I just hear stories through my wife and through other people in terms of like she told me a story of they put out her broker put a property on the market, and 36 hours later there 55 offers. 55 offers. There was a house that was listed at 650 that sold for 840. 100, like how does that happen? Like this is just, and I'm sure these aren't rare, right? These aren't like the unicorns, right? This is
right.
And unfortunately for people who want to buy, this is kind of the reality of the situation right now, right? Do you have similar anecdotal stories like that?
Oh yeah, it's tough, man. I just heard a story right now. Someone paid $100,000 over. I mean, like you said, cash. And it's like I don't get it. Like you're literally overpaying. And that individual's accepting that. I'm sure there's a lot of other factors. It had to be some sort of the location and the quality of the house, I'm sure. And that's fine. But, commonly, I deal with a lot of my clients are from out of state. I want to say 80% of my clients right now are all out of state, majority from California. So you can only imagine, the neighborhoods that they're living in, the homes that they've lived in. A lot of these guys are cashing out, retirees. I'm getting a lot of people moving to Vegas to retire. And, they're selling homes that have, 500,000 plus in equity. They know they can come out here and buy cash. And, but what's crazy is these cash buyers, they're not all winning, honestly, like how they used to be. They used to have the best leverage, you know?
So, and why is that? Is it just so many cash buyers? You just, or is it?
Not so many that it's just so competitive, Barry. Like I said, every listing is getting a dozen offers, right? And obviously there's more risk in choosing an offer that's financed. But I think right now the pool of buyers, um, they're very well educated on like where you got to be. Like, look, you've got to have cash right now, right? You got to be like straight. All the financing has to be in line. I don't think there's a lot of buyers right now that's in the market to need closing costs. You know what I mean? Or try to lowball these guys. So I think there's a lot more solid buyers that are financing. So when listing agents are presenting these offers, you've got, two cash offers, let's say at 10,000 above, but you've got three other offers, $25,000 above, solid, borrowers. And these guys are willing to waive the appraisal contingency, which is crazy to me right now in this market. And if you're not familiar with that, waiving the appraisal contingency basically means despite whatever the house appraises for, because the bank will only lend you what the house appraises for, that's telling the seller that you're willing to cover the difference to make sure that transaction goes through. Yeah. So I think there's just a lot more options now, and telling these sellers like, hey, we've got these cash offers, but we have these guys that are financing, but you'll net 10, 15 more thousand. How many times are you going to make 10, 15,000 in 30 days? You just got to wait 30 days. So I think that's the crazy part.
Yeah, and it seems like you said, like buyers are more educated than they've ever been, and it seems like they're ready to have all their ducks in a row, right? And with that, like you said, when you work with sellers now, and you said you work with a lot of sellers, I'm sure a lot of it is setting expectations up front, right? So what kind of conversation do you need to have up front, and also when it comes to actually making an offer and having everything lined up, what do they need to have?
Oh, telling these sellers, when we go up to sellers, they kind of already have their first expectation is like, we're going to sell this right now, top dollar, which in this market, that's what they're going to get. But we still got to be a little bit more mindful on the offer that we're accepting, because there's still those contingencies that might backfire, just because you're putting a house on the market, it still needs to be presentable. I know I've ran into some sellers where, their house does need a lot of work. I'm not saying it's not going to sell, but we're talking about, we need to take advantage of this, 100% seller's market. So let's do what it needs to take to get us that top dollar in the shortest amount of time. You know what I mean?
And then on the other side, what about the buyers? You really have to set expectations with them, right? That's a completely different level of. And
man.
So in order to be able to buy, what do they need to have, to be competitive now? And what kind of conversation do you need to have with them up front?
Yeah, man. So buyers, it's these buyers appointments, it's always a little bit of what real estate transactions are always like challenges, right? So the first step is having that conversation with the buyer. Well, that conversation last year to this year is completely different. You know what I mean? Because unfortunately, you kind of got to weed out those buyers that are just not in the position. Unfortunately, it's affecting a lot of the first time home buyers. But, the main thing is right now, I put out a video just yesterday. I said 3 things to keep in mind right now is, one, you've definitely got to get pre-approved, right? Like just no questions asked. And when we say pre-approved, that's like fully underwritten. And that's like your lender has all your documents, everything is ready to go. Where at that point, like it's ready to go house shopping, because then that way we'll close that much faster. And that's what the sellers want to see, that you got all your ducks in a row, right? Like, let's get this, let's rock and roll. The second one is, a lot of people, they've saved the right amount of down payment, whether it's 3.5 or 20%. But like I said, right now, you have to be able and willing to go above, because we're dealing with all these bidding wars, man. It's crazy. So I've been telling my buyers, like, if you don't have it now, it might be wise to just, wait a little bit, because you want to have that extra cushion to be able to compete in this market. Because giving them ask, it's like, you're not even there. You know what I mean? Crazy enough, sometimes putting 10,000 above is barely even to compete right now in this market. So yeah, I just straight up, you got to be that, set that expectation. And I think being honest just saves everyone a lot of time. You know what I mean? And the third one, like I said in my video, was like, just got to be patient, got to be patient, and the right home's there for you. And I tell these guys straight up, like, hey, that first offer might not get accepted, and that second and third one. I've heard from my other agent friends, they're putting out 6 offers and they're all losing. And it is what it is. But I'm always confident, like we'll find the right house for you. Just it's gonna take some time right now.
Yeah, and it's that communication, I think, like you
Absolutely.
said, just having them understand the situation and what it's really like and what they should expect. So I think that's cool. You said you have some of the numbers there, right? Talk us through some of the numbers that you have in terms of the market and what's going on.
Yeah, man. So we just got numbers out for March, and crazy enough, that's first quarter that we just wrapped up here, and each month has been crazy, man. Like January was like probably the last month you can have some sort of flexibility negotiation. February that's when you started feeling the dragon's breath, and March was just fire. Like houses were not lasting more than a couple hours, without having 10 plus hour offers on there. So for the month of March, units sold, and this is just like single family units here in Vegas, right? So we sold 3,726 homes in the month of March, and that's 34% up from last month in February, and 35% year over year.
Wow.
Median price is 363,000 right now. The crazy thing is that is up 8,000 just a month before, like 8,000 in 1 month. That's that's unreal. New listings, and here's where you'll see why the cause of the house prices increasing so fast is new listings for March, 3,566. So we're selling more houses than the amount of homes being popped on the market, and that's not including anything pending. You know what I mean? And that's 18% from last month, and surprisingly, that's down 1% from year over year. So let's see here. So here's a crazy metric right here. So month availability. So our inventory, right? We have 0.5 for the month of March, meaning we have only half, meaning it would probably take 2 weeks. If no new listings came on the market, it would only take 2 weeks to sell everything out, man. That's crazy.
That is nuts.
We have 0.5. Do you know what a healthy market is? Like the month supply of inventory?
No.
So typical month is like about 4 to 6 months worth of inventory. That's a regular healthy market. And last year I think we were around 2.5 to 3, and that was already like concerning. There's only 3 months worth of inventory, and then just every single month it just kept on like inching down, and now we're just a half month's worth of inventory. I mean, I just checked the current inventory today. We were I think just under 2,000 worth of homes available here in Las Vegas, man.
2,000. That's incredible. And the whole of Las Vegas, man. That's nuts. Yeah. That's nuts. It's just shows you, right? That's what's driving it, right? If you only have, so it's a supply and demand issue, right? There's a big demand, very little supply, and that's causing, like you said, 16 offers on any kind of property. If you don't come in 10 grand above, like that's what's driving all of this. It's the lack of supply that's and a ton of demand.
And like I said, a lot of these buyers are coming from out of state, like big market cities. We're talking about the Bay Area, Southern California, New York, Chicago, Seattle. Again, their price point is much higher, and they're selling their homes over there. What the sad thing about it is I know Vegas had that reputation of like, it's so affordable out here. So I do still come across like buyers, that want the 4-bedroom house, 3,000 square feet, a pool, and their budget's like 350,000. It's like, It's like, hey, good luck. It's not going to be on the right side of town. If there's even one out there, times have changed, man. It's Vegas is, I've always said Vegas is like the little brother to these big cities, but Vegas is growing up.
Yeah, I like that.
Maturing, man.
It's growing for sure. And like you said, I think the supply and demand has also been caused, like you said, I think, a lot of people, retirees are moving in. There's definitely a massive influx of people leaving California for very, varied reasons, taxes, legislation, everything that's kind of going on there and coming here. And like you said, even though it's expensive here compared to someone, they can very easily sell a home in LA for $1 million, right? You don't get anything special for $1 million, and you sell that home for $1 million, and you come here 500-600 grand and you get a decent home. Before you could get a great home, but now it's just a decent home just because of the way the things are going. So obviously that is the main, and I'm sure I don't know for a fact, but I'm sure the population is growing here as well. So plus as well, they just announced that June 1st, Sislac announced, right, that everything's free to open back up as it was. So you've got to imagine that from here things are going to I don't know if you can.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing, for Vegas. Things are opening up, and it's funny. I shared that post on my Instagram, and it generated a lot of comments of people like, "This is why I want to move to Vegas." I'm like, "Hey, Vegas is waiting for you over here." So
that's interesting.
It's nuts. The one last thing is I wanted to say is these homes, the average days on market, homes are selling under 30 days. 74% of listings are selling under 30 days. That's nuts. Everything before it's like, a little bit over 30 days, but now we all know it's like within hours, like I said, and it's a true story. I'm not making this stuff up.
Yeah, I'm sure most of them a lot of them go into contract in the 24, 36 hours, right? Probably you've got to be quick, right? There's not hanging around. If you're a buyer right now, you've got to be ready to go. If you see a property you like, you've got to make an offer right there.
There's really no time. There's really no time to think. It's sad to kind of put a buyer in that position, honestly, but it is what it is right now. It's otherwise you're going to keep going around that circus, and you're going to get beat out, and you're going to get disappointed, and it doesn't create a really good experience. I'd rather put an offer in like right away if it fits a lot of the boxes, and otherwise you're going to be left in the dust. Honestly, it sucks.
Yeah, and that's the reality of the situation, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure the big question that everyone has from here, right, is like, where do we go from here? And again, none of us have a crystal ball. None of us know what's going to happen. Just look at what's happened in the past year, right? It's the complete opposite of what everyone probably thought, right? Yeah, right. Exactly, right? Yeah, and it's like, I think you put a video out or something like that, and I'll ask you for all your links afterwards so that people can find you. But do you have a feel for where things can go here? Is it just up? Is there anything that could cause any kind of ruffle in the market?
My honest opinion is it's probably going to keep going up for quite some time. Definitely for the rest of the year, as long as inventory stays this low. It's just going to keep creating that supply and demand. And, honestly, I feel like this has set that new benchmark for the prices here in Las Vegas, because here's the thing. I mean, people think it's going to crash and correct massively, but, once houses start, going into the market, that just means it's going to slow down the price increase, right? Just naturally, it's just going to kind of slow it down. The only thing that I think that would kind of create this somewhat of a distinct correction is the interest rates. Interest rates are still fairly low, but from March to February, they've already gone up, and it's above 3% now. You got perfect golden credit. Your financials are good. I think the best is right now about 3.25, which is up half a point compared to, previous months. So, but again, still historically low, right? So it still makes sense. But I think as naturally interest rates are more likely to go up versus, prices going down, I think that's what's going to slow down, people's choices to maybe purchase or depending on where they're at.
Yeah. And I think, yeah, too many people are predicting any kind of crash, right? You don't get two crashes. The crash that happened in 2008, 2009 was a once in a lifetime thing,
Yeah.
right? You know, and it was caused by housing, right? You know,
Bad loans,
bad loans, yeah, you know, liar loans and everything like that, right? And there's nothing like that going on right now. There's nothing, you know, everyone remembers the last thing like that, so they expect it to be the same,
learn
right?
from our mistakes, right?
Yeah, exactly. And everyone thinks that again. So even if you think, right, what was the average price pre-pandemic? Was it 310 or something like that?
Yeah, you're right on the money. It was like about 305, 310, and
right.
It's crazy because so a lot of people, again, they kind of put their buying plans on hold, and now they kind of shot themselves in the foot because you know, real estate's all about this. Like you got to find a motivation. Like, why do you need to buy a house? Do you need to buy a house? You know, some people do, some people don't. That's kind of your choice. You know, some people need to upgrade, or they're relocating or for whatnot. And then some people invest, and then you kind of just have to analyze the numbers yourself, see if it makes sense, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just doing some quick math now. That's up 18%.
Yep.
So even if the market dropped 18%, all you would be is back to where you were a year ago, pre-pandemic. And that's a big drop, right? A 20% drop is significant. And we're talking, you know, some will be less, some would be more, but the average there. So that's a big drop. So that, you know, the likelihood of you getting a 30, 40, 50% drop is just very slim, in my opinion, unless they do something insane with interest rates, which they would never do, because that would just cause too much problems, I think, throughout the market. So yeah,
I think the one thing people are forgetting is a lot of these homeowners right now, compared to what the last time before it crashed, the last time, is a lot of people have equity right now.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not forced to sell, you know, they're not forced to give it back to the bank. They could just sell and like get a lot of their equity in cash. Look at the Biden administration. They just sent out that proposal. Did you hear about that?
Mm-mm.
So they're planning on extending the filing for any foreclosures till the end of the year. So a lot of these guys, they're protected, man. They're protected. I don't think the economy is going to risk another fall like it did back in 07 and 08. And interestingly enough, I got into banking right after that crash. So I was the bad guy. Like, it was sad. And, you know, I got to see a lot of these, you know, unfortunate circumstances with families and, you know, the loan modifications. And yeah, that new proposal by the CFPB is they're proposing extending the filing till December 31st. So just think about that. Now that just now that limits the inventory, or people wanting to sell, possibly, again, supply and demand. So that's why I believe prices are only going to increase throughout the year, if not for another 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, I agree. And there's no way the government has done all this money printing, done all this work just to let just to let it collapse when it happens. There's no way. They've worked too hard and put too much effort into it. There's no way that I don't believe. And we know. And again, this is just our opinion, right? Nobody knows, right?
No one's got that crystal ball.
Yeah,
right?
tomorrow we could turn around and be like, whoa, what happened? But you know, it's the likelihood of something like that, you've got to think, is very rare.
100%.
I agree.
100%. Actually, let me quickly touch base on new builds. We didn't talk about that real quick. So new builds are just as crazy, man. You know, they've got tougher requirements now. They're only releasing so many, like a handful of lots every month. And then, so see how that's creating more demand on that one. And the requirements, I mean, we've got lotteries, you know, priority lists. It's even that, almost that more difficult to be in a new build. And, you know, they just can't keep up with a lot of it, I think, also is, they can't keep up with the demand is why they're releasing only a handful of lots. You know, that does help them with the price increases, but, you know, lumber shortage, right? Mm-hmm. They can't get the materials fast enough either. So, you know, they don't want to tell these guys like, hey, it's going to take 12 months to build your house.
That's crazy. It could take that long at this point now for a new construction?
Yeah. So, you know, typical new builds is about 6 to maybe 8 months at the longest. But I've heard some crazy delays where some are having to wait a full 12 months only because some of these builders are having a hard time getting the materials, you know, the lumber. Yeah.
Interesting, man. Interesting. Well, Russ, man, thank you so much, man, for taking the time. Hopefully, I think we're going to try and do this like a monthly thing and release a monthly report. I think it's really interesting. I think people definitely have an interest in Vegas, right? And, you know, what's going on there is just nuts. And I think it's fascinating. So I enjoyed it. It was awesome. I appreciate you being here. But before we go, where can people get a hold of you? Like how like all your socials, anything you have to offer, and if they're looking for a great agent, how can they get in touch?
Yeah, man, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram, Russtherealtorlv. Feel free to DM me with any questions. Whether you're ready today or 5 years from now. I deal with all type of clients, buyers, sellers, investors, and check out my YouTube channel as well, Russ the Realtor LV as well.
Yeah, check those out. You put some great videos. I watch most of them. So you do a great job with that, man. Hey, this was fun. Thank you so much, Russ.
Sounds good.